Welcome to Cowboys, and we're getting ready to rumble. At least our stomachs are rumbling. We're here for the very best in free-range cooking. The annual Cowboy Roundup and Chuck Wagon Cook-Off. A Wild West festival of bodacious beans, bountiful biscuits, and a baddest chicken fried steak west? Or are we east of the Pecos?
Be sure you're doing this with clean underwear, kids.
Now this is what I call a Chuck Wagon, fully restored and registered with the National Cowboy Hall of Fame. Bobby, you've got quite a rig here.
Well, thank you. We're proud of it.
I bet when you started this, you didn't know that it was going to grow to be this big.
Well, not quite this big, but you never know when you start.
Now this authentic Chuck Wagon has been fully restored. How long does it take to get this from its original condition to this?
It's not something that happens overnight by any means. First, you've got to find the wagon. The wagon came off of a farm in Iowa and then was restored back.
What did you have when you started with? It was just this, and then did they
Probably
rebuild most
probably
of it?
all they had was the running gears, the axles, the running gears, and then they started from there. Doug Hansen actually restored the wagon for us out of Lechner, South Dakota. So I think it was a year or two process, finding the wagon, doing the research to where it needed to be. Everything's hand forged, the woods are all correct. So he does quite an extensive work there restoring the wagon.
Now, Bobby, let's step back in time 100 years ago. This was the business end of the Chuck Wagon. The Cowboys rolled up and they were hungry and they were tired, and you're their friend, their doctor, you do everything for them, but this is where it all started for them.
Where it starts.
Because a cowboy runs on his stomach.
That's right. Well, it was just the necessities. Wasn't anything, a lot of extras. That they would have coffee. You'd have your flour, your sugar for your biscuits. They'd have beans on here. These guys didn't eat a 7-course meal. They're living on some type of meat, maybe a little salt pork or something that they found. They served them breakfast, and then they set up and was ahead of the herd of cattle, and they set up camp for the night, and so they had to have them something to eat. I'd say there was 2 things that was very precious, and that'd be water and firewood. Something to build a fire with, whether it was dry wood or cow chips.
You've got a photo here, and that's really interesting. I can only imagine how much they would cherish a photo out on the trail.
Well, I think that's right. You know, a photo of this is a grandmother of mine. There could be a mother, there could be a grandmother, there could be a girlfriend. I think a Bible was still very important back in those times for some people.
This has got to be a passion for you.
It is. That's a good word for it. So it is.
Now, I don't know beans about beans, but I know someone who does. Now, Keith, I hear tell that beans are the musical fruit. Is that true?
Yes.
Now, what do you do to get prepared for this? Now, this is a competition, and at high noon, we got all these folks you got to feed. So what do you do to prepare your beans to get everything ready so that they're ready to go at high noon?
Well, we started yesterday. We cleaned our beans, sorted through them, and we soaked our beans overnight to start with. Got here early this morning, got a fire on, cut up some stuff, chopped some stuff up, load it all in
Cut
there.
up some stuff, chop some stuff up. What's the stuff?
Well, that's just kind of a secret, and if I told you my secret, then everybody out here would know.
But that's what everybody's telling me. Everybody's got the secret. They got the secret doctor and stuff. They got the secret marinade. They got the secret bean. They got the secret tater ingredient. So do you guys ever divulge that to anybody else, or is that something you pass on to your kids?
I might pass it on to my kids.
You might?
My mother tried to get my recipe and I wouldn't give it to her. We use a little salt, we use a little bacon in our beans, and then we've got a couple of other things that we like to throw in there that seem to spice them up a little bit, that works well for us.
And how long does it take to cook it?
But we start cooking. We start cooking in the morning about 7 o'clock, and we cook our beans pretty hard boiled for about 2.5 hours, so they soften up. Then just pull them off the fire and just let them sit.
That's one thing we see. Some of the folks, they put them on, they just let them kind of simmer all day. You say you cook them hard and then you let them simmer. What does that have to do with the texture of the beans?
I just think that softens them up, and that allows time for the seasonings and the juices just to soak into the bean.
And that's all part of the special process of beans.
That's around here it is.
It is. Now there you have it, folks. I mean, I always think of beans are beans. I take a can, I open it up, I put it in, I heat it up in the microwave, and I eat it. But these guys live beans. I mean, it's what they do, and they do it to perfection. Now, authenticity is important, but when the fat hits the griddle, it's all about food. It's morning. The beans are boiling, the taters are chopped, the Chuck Wagon Kings have their game faces on. My friend John has the distinction of being a world champion. John, tell us about your win last year in 2005.
Well, God blessed us last year in letting us win this trophy. Our team, we'd been cooking together for like 3 or 4 years. My son, my wife, my boss, and his daughter. We'd all been cooking together, and everything just finally come together last year.
How many times do you have to win before it belongs to you?
They say 3.
They say 3?
Yes, sir, and I'd love to keep it.
This year and next year, and it's yours,
Yes,
huh?
sir, that would be wonderful.
Good luck in the competition.
All right, thank you.
Now, folks, this is Chuck Wagon cooking real time. Ted and his gang are putting everything all together. Now, my grandmother used to cook on a wood stove, and I was always amazed how she could make everything ready at the same time. And that's exactly what these guys are doing right now. 100 miles an hour, there's 14 things that's got to be done simultaneously with only a small crew of guys. So, Ted, you're putting the biscuits. How do you keep it all in line? Make this stuff all work.
How do you keep it in line? It's just, you got to get your mind going, you got to think and just get busy. You know how much time you got, you just do it.